10 years ago.
That's right. My auntie was actually just showing me photos down there of 10 years ago. So
big star.
I didn't really recognise myself, and a few less grey hairs back then. But 10 years now, it doesn't seem like that since the local, you know.
Yeah. And a big fee from Larkin, or what?
It was kind of incremental the last 10 years. You know, percentages didn't take as much.
It's bigger than today, maybe. Listen, I'll split mine with you. Don't worry about it. So, Brian, I know you helped Larkin in the planning of all this. Christy, you opened it. Martin McElhenney, what was your input here apart from messing and Rosie's? Were you?
Not very much. I probably stayed here a couple of nights after Rosie's. But no, apart from that, I didn't have much of input. But it's a great facility to have in the town. In fairness, like, you know, it's really made some job of Creasla, like, and we're actually very lucky to have it. And for all that he does within Creasla, it really has brought it on something serious. Like.
Yeah, it's picturesque today. Listen, lads, we're here to talk football. And Brian, these two lads had the pleasure of being on both sides of the equation in terms of Ulster Final losers and then triumphant and going beyond. But myself and yourself, unfortunately, I don't want to take you down too many dark roads. You're stuck on a couch or squashed in here. Brian, it was a tough time, and Armagh were the nemesis. You know, tough memories of that time in terms of, you know, they had moved on to a kind of more modern, they had defensive shape, they were hard to play against, and you know, it took a lot of teams a while to cop on to that, and it was those games that we played in, Brian, you know, it really felt like it was, you know, were we ever going to get across the line?
It was, I suppose, kind of Armagh were kind of way ahead of themselves, you know, as far as fitness and stamina and stuff, you know, so kind of, I think we got caught on maybe 3 Ulster finals to beat us in, you know, so that was hard to take, like, you know, it was because we had a good squad and a good team there at that stage, like, you know, and it was just, you know, it was hard to take, like, you know what I mean, but Armagh were, at that stage, you know, they were...
It was the best Armagh team ever, it was the best Tyrone team ever, and they were probably thinking about All Irelands, Brian, you know, but in that time there probably should have been an Ulster won by ourselves, and, you know, it's very regretful. I hate even bringing up the subject because, you know, what's happened since then, Jim obviously completely flipped that in its head. You know, and you know, Martin and Christy, you've seen both sides of that, Martin, you know, in terms of maybe the preparation, you know, and it's not to give off about any of the management, but it was just the way it was. We trained to win football matches. If you were going to beat Armagh, or like you's designed to beat Tyrone, you had to prepare for that from the get-go.
Yeah, definitely. Like when I first started playing with Donegal, you always had a very competitive team, but you kind of felt that you weren't really prepared that well. And then it just kind of flipped on his head then when Jim came in, you know, we were still competing in the Ulster Championship, you know, against the likes of the Tyrones and Derrys and that kind of stuff, Armaghs. But then Jim just changed the whole thing, you know, and the whole preparation went up to another level. And you actually just felt confident then going into matches. And I think that's probably that team that I would have looked up to, you know, the likes of yourself, Brian, these boys, you know, back in that. I remember 18 years ago, you just got to the Ulster Final. And I was playing the minor final before it in Croke Park, like, and we would have looked up to that. But I think then we could see that you all had talent, but then it probably never actually brought it on to the matches. But what Jim did, then he just brought it to a whole new level of professionalism, preparing for matches and that, and then we really just brought it on to a new level. Like, and I think they're all doing that now. Like.
Yeah, and Christy, your memories of that change because it was so dramatic. You know, that team that we had was knocking on the door, and we going good runs through the back door. We didn't really suit playing. Definitely Armagh. We could actually beat Tyrone all the time. Maybe not them. I know we beat them in 2007, a bit lucky, but that change then, and Chrissy was so dramatic from that Cross McGlane horror show in 2010 into 2011. What was your feeling from the start there in terms of, you know, Jim coming in and what he was saying to you, and I suppose the momentum that started to build?
Well, I think that time when we got up against those Armagh teams, probably the main reason, I know you kind of touched on it there, but like those Armagh teams are very systematic and like functional. You know, throughout the whole game they do the same thing over and over and over, diagonal balls into the back post. Whereas we were playing, we'd play like in moments or 10 minutes, maybe good for 10 minutes, then you wouldn't know what you're getting for 10 minutes. So like ultimately now when you look back in hindsight, that's probably where we fell down, rather than, I know we probably got tagged with a certain party kind of reputation, which was probably unfair considering.
Unfair if you're from the south of the county. All the headers was up the south for some reason. I don't know what.
But it was kind of an easy label then, to give us. Whereas if you looked at it maybe a bit more logically, you would see that Armagh just that, you know, that they're a bit ahead in tactics in terms of the systems.
Which
they
gave
have in
them
place.
belief then, and it all worked into a pattern.
If you've something to fall back on, if things
Yeah.
are going wrong,
Yeah.
like that override a system that overrides a few mistakes, like you're always going to come out successful at the end, especially if you have fitness in order and you've maybe a good manager on the sideline and stuff like that there. Whereas we were probably relying on our individual talent and stuff and moments more so. So I think that's probably the big change. When McGuinness came in, he put a system in place like that. It didn't matter who you were, you had to just do
Yeah.
it. Like if you're a wing forward, you had to sprint back every single time you lost the ball. Whereas maybe before that, if you lost the ball, you were just stay in your own position. You know, so that system in place was probably the main change that he had in terms of to get us up to the same level as Tyrone and Armagh.
Yeah.
But then like McGuinness had, I suppose all the managers had good attributes, you know. But McGuinness probably had everything, you know. He had the psychology, he had the motivation, he knew what he was talking about in strength and conditioning. He was tactically astute. He was a good man manager, you know. So he probably ticked all the boxes, like. So that's probably the main difference and main change he made to the team.
Yeah, but just before we get on to the modern game now, do you think at that time that reputation Christy talked about, you know, there was a lot of crack. It's a daytime show. We'll not go into what happened at night. But, you know, I've seen it from people outside the county, and they would say about, say, lack of belief, or, you know, we got to the big day and all that. But there's no real difference from what I see now when you've learned a lot, when you've been in coaching yourselves. Really, you know, most footballers are fairly similar. Like Christy was saying there, Jim in 1 year turned a team which was completely out of sync into sync. So really, it's about the coaching and it's about the focus and that. Every manager came on, coach with us. They all had a great time for Donegal always, because we did what we were asked. But, you know, we did get labelled with that. And I often think about whenever we won the league final 2007, there was a big session and there was a bit of wrecking done. There was only a word about it. But I just think if you lose a match, you know, a lot of, like, it was a tough time then, Brian, you know, to be labelled with all that. Whenever, like, the boys were training really hard as much as it was asked of us, it was probably after the match that it would kick off a bit. And of course people were disappointed, and then they would see people, you know, on the session, for want of a better line.
I know, no, listen, it was hard training we were doing at that time, you know, and suppose, I think probably, you know, we lost Ulster Final in 98, you know, against Derry, you know, with last minute Brawley goal, like, so it was kind of, if it had won that, you know, I think it would have kicked us on maybe to won more Ulsters, you know. It was a mental thing, kind of, that, you know, we lost that one, and then we lost one then, and I think it was 2002, and lost one 2004, like, you know what I mean. So it was kind of a, you know, it was a mental thing, you know what I mean, that would just, as I said, if it had won the first one, I think would have kicked on, and, you know, the confidence would have been there, and it definitely would have put us in a better place, you know, for the years down the line, like, you know.
Yeah, and listen, there was a decent record there, Martin. It was finals. More Donegal the problem. And you look at now, Jim, 5 years, 5 finals. You know, it's phenomenal. Like 1 defeat, 2013. You know, is there anything in that, do you think, for the players going into this game, that Jim's there, the belief was there? You know, we weren't the best. We didn't play our best against Tyrone. We still won the match. Is there something there? I mean, I know Michael Murphy has mentioned spooking other managers. Do you think the players are feeding off that, or is that something that's just out there and talked about?
No, definitely they would. Hey, look, they feel that Jim's been there, done that before, you know, that he hasn't lost many Ulster Championship games. As you say, he's only lost one, really. That'll bring them great confidence, what he's trying to tell them in training and before matches, that this works. You know, they're going to believe that more, because, look, he's done it before. You know what I mean? It's some record. Like, I would say Kieran McGeaney and Mickey Harton them must really hate playing against him, because he really has the hoodoo over
Which
them,
is
you
the
know.
same thing Donegal didn't, where it was like against Armagh back in the day.
Back in the day it was
so
on,
he's kind of maybe took a bit from them.
yeah,
Martin,
it was
you
on
know?
the flip back in the day. It was
Yeah.
always you were going up against it, and then what happens then is when things start getting tough in the matches and that there, you start doubting yourself. You know what I mean? And Armagh start going, oh, we can do it. We have the game plan. We keep kicking the diagonal ball into Ronan Clark and then Jeremy Myers and that back at them times, and they would eventually wear you down and get it over the line. Whereas that's flipped now in Donegal. You know, it can be tight, and then when Donegal start turning the screw, say, all the opposite teams say, oh, look, that's them again. Jim hasn't doing a plan. You know, the players know exactly what they're doing and they can get out and top. And the players feel that on the field as well. You know, maybe coming into the last 10 minutes, you point down, if we keep doing what he's telling us, it will work. You know what I mean? And I think that's the main thing that they're doing now, big time, is that they keep doing the same thing what he's been telling them in the trainings, and what the rest of the boys are telling them in trains, and it's working for them. So you can imagine the confidence they have after the defeating Derry and Tyrone.
Right, Chrissy, tell us now, right? If they're going to do the same thing, are Armagh going to do the same thing as Tyrone, or you think that they've got something else in plan for Donegal? They've got, Myrne and Turbot inside. Creeley has been dropped in there in the league final. For some reason, he didn't kick it in. I was thinking about if you put McColgan on Kern's shoulders, he wouldn't be up to the height of Creeley. They've got some big men. But are they going to go and try and play that tactic against us, or do you think there's something else from Donegal, or is there something else from Donegal? Do you think we could see a high press from time to time, or you think will it be like the Tyrone game in terms of a real stalemate coming down to a point shootout?
Well, I think Armagh is going to probably approach it that way, to try and make it into a stalemate, because I feel that Donegal, if you looked all over the pitch, like Armagh have quality all over the pitch, but I think Donegal just has that wee bit more in those areas. And like Armagh's first two games, the Fermanagh game was, it was a facile victory rather than you could see any real patterns of play, or it's very hard to read that game. And then the Down game was quite a poor game. It was very nip and tuck and attritional, and like there's not much good football played, so they're hard to decipher from the first two games. Compared to Donegal, you could see them against Derry. What they tried to do, you could see a specific pattern and tactic in terms of the goals and stuff. And then against Tyrone, they changed it a wee bit in terms of sitting back in that. But I think Armagh's going to play defensively, but if Donegal push up hard on their kickouts and give a very high press at the start of the game, I feel it'll probably suit Donegal. But if they maybe give the kick out like they did in the last couple of games, they didn't put a wild press in the kick out. A lot of the kicks got away in the first two games. So if they put a big press on at the start of the game and get control that way, I can't see Armagh beating them. But if it falls into the game like that against Tyrone, that'll suit Armagh, I think. In the way like Armagh have a good injection of pace coming off the bench. They've Stephen Campbell, Nugent, Oisin O'Neill, yeah. So like they've
maybe Charlie Oak, like they've quite a bench.
I think he started the last day, but him coming in like it's going to be a big inject. They're kind of box to box players, like so. I feel they'll probably try and keep it tight and attritional until it goes down the stretch. But Donegal probably, I think, if they press high and press them hard at the start and get ahead of them, like I don't know about like Donegal can protect the lead and stuff like that. There, McGuinness isn't that well tuned. I just feel that if it's too nip and tuck at the start, it'll suit Armagh,
Yeah, tight and attritional. Very good, Christy Toy, Martin McElhenney, and Brian McLaughlin. We'll be back for more after this break.
Highland Sport is brought to you by Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure. Gear up for the big games at michaelmurphysports.ie.
We've one planet and it's ours to protect. From repairing to swapping to creating and recreating, learn the changes you can make every Tuesday at 12:30 to live a little greener. Tune into Ours to Protect with me, Donna Marie Doherty.
Ours to Protect is funded by Commission Man with a television licence fee and is a partnership between Highland Radio and the Independent Broadcasters of Ireland. Check out ourstoprotect.ie for more information.
Hello, I'm David Foley, medical herbalist. Are you suffering with stress, anxiety, insomnia? Then ask for Irish Botanica Peace and Calm, a traditional herbal remedy. Irish Botanica Peace and Calm has a naturally relaxing effect, ideal for stress, insomnia, jet lag, and pre-exam anxiety. Call us a natural way, Letterkenny Shopping Centre for more information.
For many drivers, the ideal car is a nearly new or demo model with low mileage and quality checked. If that's you, Peugeot have just what you're looking for. Nearly new and demo model Peugeots in stock and ready to go, so you can enjoy all the luxury, technology and alluring French style that can only be Peugeot. It's the car you're looking for, and it's closer than you think. See the ready to go models at your Peugeot dealer today.
Saturday Sport coming to you live from the Wide Atlantic Camp Creasla, celebrating 10 years in business. Family events, soccer tournaments and giveaways not to be missed today at the Wide Atlantic Camp.
Highland Sport is brought to you by Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure, Letterkenny. Cross the finish line in style with trainers from michaelmurphysports.ie.
Yes, welcome back, folks. We have Brian McLaughlin, Martin McElhenney and Christy Toy here. Christy's just been telling about his under 8 tactics for St Michael's here. It's fascinating stuff, lads. Listen, getting in, Christy, you mentioned kickouts there. Brian, Patton, looks like Patton's going to be there. You know, Tyrone didn't really squeeze up Mulroney the last day. It looked like there was maybe a potential there. How big is Patton in this in terms of his ability and Donegal's game plan?
Oh, it's going to be massive. You know, hopefully he is fit for tomorrow. You know, I know Mulroney's a good keeper, a good backup keeper there. You know, but hopefully Sean is fit. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's kind of you've seen from the Derry game. You know, he sets up all attacks, and you know it's just another dimension there for them. You know, where he can kick a kick out, like, and it's just put them on the offensive. You know, it's unreal, like, you know, and he's just setting up points and, you know, goals and stuff. You know, so hopefully he'll be there.
He's back. Martin, goals. Neither team's conceding goals. You know, obviously Rafferty's been injured. He's back in. He played against Dublin in a friendly Tuesday week ago. Now, as soon as I heard that, there was a Donegal man there, and we know him. He got asked to leave, but he's seen enough. But then I was like, oh my God, Rafferty's going to start, rabbit out of the hat. But talking to it, Armagh hadn't got their full team on, and what they were doing was giving Rafferty a workout. So I presume what McGuinness's doing is, if Donegal are in 2 or 3 up, and there's, say, 15 to go, Rafferty's going to be unleashed. But I think, you think of the Ulster Final last year, remember Rafferty came out for that fist, and the goal, he's not a goalkeeper. So I think he's probably waiting, Martin, in terms of...
I can't see Rafferty starting, like, or he might come on even out the field, you know, because he plays outfield a lot with his club and stuff like that. But I can't. Ryan was saying there about Patton and the kickouts and all. In the 2 previous games, like, Armagh just give them the kick, Donegal the kickouts, like, so that's what is set up for a slow pace, you know. And I think they'll do the same again, because if he plays and they push up, they'll just see the Derry game and they'll just see how much Donegal hurt them. Whereas they'll just let them get the kickouts, let Donegal build slow, and then it'll turn into, like, as Christy said, a war of attrition there. But it could be very tactile then, just trying to break gaps, break lines and stuff, and get the scores on the ball at the end, like. And I think that way, what Donegal probably mirror the same thing. They'll have to try and drop back, let Armagh come in round them, but they'll probably go heavy on like Rory Grugan there, because he's the real playmaker, and I think, like, and if they can stop him dictating the play.
Would you man Mark O'Neill, Rian O'Neill, if out there, can that be done? I know it can be done, but you know, Langan and obviously McGee will probably pick up Creeley. Yeah. Your own man Langan, it's not a game that he does. He's got too much class for a start, but O'Neill is such a good playmaker for them, you know.
Yeah, no, I know he is a good playmaker. In fairness, Langan's very good at actually man marking. You know, he's done 2 very good jobs so far, even against Derry. You know, people mightn't have seen it as much, but he was running in full forward in our attacks, and he was bringing the Donegal Derry midfielders inside, like, and it just meant that they couldn't get into the game then on the attacks and on the turnovers. But I don't think I think they'll really focus on Rory Grugan. You know, try and stop him spreading it about as that quarterback kind of player, and then once the likes of O'Neill come in to the defensive block line, then they'll pick him up, track him everywhere. But out around the middle, I think they'll let him go, like. And if they do take Rory out of it, like, I think that'll stop a lot of the Armagh things, like. Yeah. And then Donegal really want it on the break, on the counter. So if they get the turnovers, then they've open road, like.
Yeah. Christy, you know, from Jim's time there, can we read anything into the league? You know, we seen against Cork there was a high press, and you're like, wow, they were closing off channels, they were going after Cork everywhere, and then we seen it very rarely then in the league. Do you think Jim in many ways is just playing Ulster very tactically now? And you know, when you look at the last 2 games, is there any reading in it? You know, I thought both teams were a bit cagey in both games. Do you think that, you know, if you look at the record with Donegal and Armagh now, the last 5 games, we've beat them 4 times. But that game in 2022, remember, was Michael Murphy's last game. Now, we had lost Ulster Final. I don't think we were in good shape, but they really went after us, remember, up the pitch. Do you think there's that element that they held that back in the league?
Well, I think Jim usually, like, the way he operates, it's whatever team he's playing, there's a specific plan, like. So maybe you mentioned Cork there, like, he might have identified the Cork goalkeeper and maybe not been great in the shorts, or them not being great in receiving shorts, so you'd train the team to press up very high and aggressive. But then maybe against Tyrone, for example, like, Donegal pressed up in the kick out, but Morgan got most of them away, and Donegal didn't seem to really press initially that hard on the initial kick, and then when throwing players got the ball, they'd filter all back. So that was a definite kind of tactic not to really press too aggressively on. So it depends on what way Jim views Armagh's set up for their kickouts, like, you know, to press up aggressively. I think if he's mentioned Ethan Rafferty there, like, if maybe if he was playing, like he's that ping over the top, like, so they'd probably sit back. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does on Sunday, because I feel if they can press aggressively against Armagh at the start, like, and get maybe a run of a few points on them.
Do you think they might attempt that full up press just to ask the question? It would be exciting to see, wouldn't it? In terms of see what we've seen in the first half against Tyrone.
I hope they do, like, because I feel that's the best chance of maybe getting ahead of Armagh in terms of taking control of the game. Because maybe if, like, you watched the Tyrone game the other day, like, no real team had full control of the game, you know, or no team dominated really the game. So, like, I think that would be one way if Donegal, I feel, dominating them, because as you said earlier on, like, we haven't really probably seen it since that Cork game. But, like, I mean, like Jim, as I said, he usually has a specific plan. He'll have watched Armagh hundreds of times and watched what their players are doing from every angle, and he'll have whatever specifically tailored plan to push up in certain areas at certain times or whatever.
Do you see him about here? Do you have a tactical talk to him? No.
About under 8 side.
Where else in Donegal would he want to live?
Well, he actually lives just next door. Actually, see him about. You don't see him much this time of year now. He's obviously flat out. But
does he kind of give you one of those wee passing waves, Christy?
I like stop the car and like Jim would have a few tactics for you. Hold on. But he actually was down with under 8s there. His own young fella, he's involved there with under 8s. He's down all day, but not as much as last few weeks, obviously with the championship being on that. So
St Michael's obviously could inherit a few decent footballers there, right?
They could. Hopefully, like, well, Jim now living up there, and he's like a good squad of boys up there. He can make his own team maybe, and then there's plenty up that road. All right. So hopefully, maybe if you can wait 15 years, like we might have a championship team there. But
listen, good. Listen, it's brilliant to see. I say there's such a great buzz around the county, and it's so crazy, Brian. It's the drop from last year, you know, where we were. I think probably maybe the turmoil and the stories that come out and the bad press. It just went so toxic, and now it's like Jim comes in, everything's just the slate's wiped clean, and you know, you see it, the flags and the buzz. I mean, it's crazy how quick it can change. Very much like 2010 and the 2011.
Exactly. I know it's good. It's good to see the buzz back around the county again. You know, because it was a bit probably flat there for a couple of years there. So it's you know, with Donegal now on Sunday, hopefully they can, you know, meet Armagh head on now and probably hopefully get the one and get the Ulster title back.
Is it a bigger game for Armagh, Brian? You know, I know obviously we desperately want it, but I mean, if you look at the journey they're on, 10 years, no title, beating penalties last year. You know, for Jim, first year in, you know, the group stage is a championship coming up. Do you think it's a bigger game for them to win it than us?
100%. I think all the pressure's on Armagh. Like it's on Kieran McGuinness. Do you know, Kieran, he hasn't won anything with Armagh, like, so, you know, even we beat them in the league final, which was mentally was a good one for Donegal. So I think even like as Christy was saying, if we can get a hold of them early on and get scores on the board, you know, I think if we can get ahead and let them chase the game, like, I think Donegal will win, you know, 3 or 4 points in it.
Yeah, 3 or 4 points. That's confident. We're almost getting to the speculation on scoreline stage. I think maybe 16 points might win it. It might be 16-15 type game or something like. You think that'll be enough to win it?
Oh, definitely be enough to win it. I think because the way the two of them will set up, it'll be very defensive. You know,
you think it might be less?
It could be less. Like they mightn't be in for a score fest. You know, but just on the whole colour thing, like it's funny how Donegal were kind of used to getting Ulster finals there, and kind of what is rare then when we hadn't got for a few years. The buzz is back, and I know the Jim thing came back in. Like, he's just so charismatic and that kind of stuff, and he brings everyone involved, and everyone's mad to get involved in Donegal again. And even around Creasle here, like, the colour is just magnificent. Like, and Donegal were in Ulster finals there regularly, and that colour probably wasn't there at the same time. It's just how he brings everyone together. Like, so it is good going forward that way. But on the scoring front, I can't see it being a high scoring game now.
Yeah.
I can definitely see it being slow paced. You know, could only be 10, 12.
Tune
like,
in the second half.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, but it gets very tense, doesn't it? Like, I could feel my gut, Christy, going in the Tyrone game, because it's so tight and tense, because you know every possession matters, every score matters. And I guess if you look at that, Christy, listen, we beat Derry, who people are saying they're in the top 3 in Ireland. we beat them well. We beat Tyrone, Division 1, Armagh beat Fermanagh, and they just about got across down. We're coming up on a much better, I suppose, form, Christy, in terms of that. Again, go back to that bit of belief that's in the team. I'm sure Armagh, to me, and as the lads were saying, they're much more weary of us than we are of them.
Aye, definitely. I think Armagh, like Brian mentioned it there. It's kind of McGeeney's been there, I think, 10 years now. It's their last roll of dice, really, because realistically they're not going to win the All Ireland. So I think this is the big one for them, and it could be probably worth a couple of points motivational wise, maybe to them, that the players will be aware of that as well. That this could be the last game, and maybe a big game and a final for this team. But definitely Donegal are probably, like when Donegal played in the Derry game when they got the second goal, like everybody, I felt that's it over now. They weren't going to lose that game. I know there wasn't. I think maybe only was it 6 points when they scored it. Maybe 10 years ago or maybe 2 years ago, in the Donegal might think, well, mightn't protect this lead, but 6 points or 5 points to Donegal, you're not going to. No team's going to, I don't think, can come back against Jim McGuinness's team if they get that far ahead, because he's them so well drilled. And the fact then, in extra time as well in the Tyrone match, once we went to full time, me and Martin were at the game, we're saying Donegal's going to win this. The fitness is going to, there'll be no, whatever anything else about tactics and that, no team's going to be fitter than Donegal this year. I feel anyway. So when it came to extra time, I thought there was only going to be one winner. So that obviously generates lots of belief among the squad as well. So, but now the pressure is all on Armagh to win the title. Donegal's only in year one of their kind of journey, if you want to call it that. So, and I think it's kind of last chance saloon really for this Armagh team. Yeah,
and certainly no All Ireland tickets are going to be needed in Armagh. Christy's just told us that's it. They're out. Whatever happens on Sunday, they're gone after that. Listen, folks, last to get is going to be predictions, and I'm going to get them after this ad break, and we'll keep everybody hanging, waiting on this from three legends of the game: Christy Toy, Martin McGanny, and Brian McGlone.
Highland Sport is brought to you by Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure Letterkenny. Cross the finish line in style with trainers from michaelmurphysports.ie.
Some people get up early every morning. But on the morning of May 11th, we want everyone to be up for the most important sunrise of the year. Whether it's your first time or 10th time, join Pieta and Electric Ireland for this year's Darkness into Light. On May 11th, everyone's welcome. Sign up, take part, and raise much needed funds for suicide prevention at darknessintolight.ie.
The Balmoral Show is back and bigger than ever. Come and join farmers, foodies and families for 4 fun-filled days at the Icon Exhibition Centre Lisburn from the 15th to the 18th of May. With sheepdog displays, a new children's area and delicious local food and drink, the big show has something for everyone. Don't miss the agri-food event of the year. Come and join the fun at the Balmoral Show, sponsored by Ulster Bank, from the 15th to the 18th of May. Book your tickets online now at balmoralshow.co.uk. See you at the show.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out shaneconleycars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonagher Road, Donegal Town.
Saturday Sport coming to you live from the Wide Atlantic Camp Creasla, celebrating 10 years in business. Family events, soccer tournaments and giveaways not to be missed today at the Wide Atlantic Camp.
Welcome back, folks, to this live broadcast from the Wild Atlantic Camp here. We've got a nice crowd outside. Everybody's getting ready for the Ulster Championship. The shades is on and the sun cream's on. All right, Larkin? How are you, my man? Happy man there. Folks, listen, just before the break, predictions. Brian, listen, we're obviously all backing Donegal, but in your heart of heart, are you confident? You said 3 or 4 points there earlier. Is that where you're going in terms of where you think this game's going to be?
I'm quietly confident, and I think Donegal will have the fitness, similar to the Tyrone game. I think that, the fitness is there and the setup's there, and they're coming in, beating Tyrone, beating Derry. I think they're in a very good place coming into the final, so I think, it'll be tight early on, but I think as the game goes on, Donegal will get a hold of it, I think definitely it's definitely going to be, I think they're going to be 3-4 points too good for
I
Armagh.
hope so, Brian, 'cause that'll save that gut wrench and stuff where there's a point in it or there's level or I don't want to go through that again. I'd rather not.
Could be after extra time now, but wouldn't it?
If it goes to penalties, that's a bit of a psychological one for Armagh too, Martin, in terms of what they've been through. You know, there certainly is a lot of, like, you'd have to say there's baggage there. And I know, like, you've McKeever in there, you've Donaghy, Conley, Gilligan joined them this year. It's a big panel now. McGeady went through a vote at the county board, you know, whether you're going to stay or go. So there's question marks there. Now, the players, I've obviously backed them to the hilt, but there is baggage there. And I'm sure Donegal will be looking to play up on that in terms of, you know, getting ahead and controlling the game and saying, you know, you'd have a wee word in the ear, boys, it's not going to happen today.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's the last hurrah for McGuinness, as has been well pointed out here. But the one thing I would say is Donegal's already beat Armagh in the league final this year. It's very hard to beat a team two times in the 1 year in finals. Like, the whole thing, they've come in kind of not tested, so they could be kind of fresh as well. Whereas Donegal have 2 really tough games under their belt. I think it's a kind of a tough game. A lot of them Armagh boys, all of them don't have any Ulster medals. Where all the Donegal boys nearly have Ulster medals, you know, from a couple of years ago. So that hunger thing, you know, is it the same as what Armagh's hunger would be to get over the line to win an Ulster championship? I know that is one thing that Jim will be really instilling in them, and he's a serious motivator in getting them all thinking that the whole county, the whole Ireland is against Donegal. Everyone's against Donegal, like in Armagh or the biggest share there ever is. Like, he's really good at painting that whole picture. Yeah. So that's the siege mentality, as they say, and that's the good thing that he's really good at getting Donegal up to. From
your time there, Martin, it looks like with Donegal now they're getting the best from the players. When I recap the show, say on the DL debate there on a Monday night, I know you'll be listening in. Do you think if you start naming players, you name the whole team, you know, isn't it? And from your time was the same. And I know often you and Christy were vital that in terms of coming on finishing. You both always played your part. But you see that now with the team, and different from your time, you had 6 defenders probably. There's only really 2 defenders now. Everybody else is kind of like a half-forward type player. So is that the key to Donegal's success here, that it's kind of runners from deep, and it's every player, maybe all those players scoring a point or 2 points, and that'll get us to our total?
Yeah, everyone, like, that's the one thing, Jim. Everyone feels a part, that they have a part to play. If that is number 30 in the panel to number, like, Michael Murphy in the panel when he was playing, you know, everyone felt that they had something to give. Whereas I'm saying some other managers, you know, it was the first 15 and then that was it, you know, and you kind of, the next interest starts sliding away. And that's probably maybe Jim's psychology background or whatever. He makes everybody feel that they're part of it. And that could be someone that's collecting the water bottles and the thing, that they feel that they're making such a thing towards the team, like, and I think that's why he gets the best out of everyone. Like, there's people there that are improved 15-20% already based on when he's back in, like, and that's why Donegal have made such a quick transition. Like, it's the whole, you don't see too many people stepping away from Jim McGuinness's panel when they're involved, even if they're not getting playing for a couple of years.
You're not allowed.
You're not allowed, you know what I mean? That's
people that Holidays booked at their cash, they're gone.
You don't, whereas
yeah.
Previous things you see, though, someone's left the panel, someone's going, you always hear this kind of stuff, where under Jim, that's not, because he makes you feel you're such a part of it, you know what I mean? And that's probably the advantage that Donegal will have on Armagh. If they get ahead, then the Armagh boys will start thinking, oh Jesus, look, they're back here again, they're so positive, they know what they're at. And the doubts will start creeping into the Armagh players, because McGeady has probably not been successful, and because maybe, as you say earlier on, he went to vote to get the job. But they backed him. It's up to them now to try and play. You know, there's only so much the managers can do too. Like,
yeah, Christy, do Donegal need to be in a lead before Armagh empty the bench? You seen against Tyrone the last day, we took off players, put them back on. You know, the likes of, as I say, O'Neill, Oshin, Nugent, Duffy, they all contributed on the scoreboard. Rafferty's another player to come in. Do you think Donegal need to be in the lead with 20 to go in terms of what Armagh have coming off the bench? Should there be a Jarly Og as well? Do you think that's where Armagh think the winning of the game will be, by unloading that bench from their perspective?
Well, it is the one, probably, I know I mentioned earlier that Donegal, in terms of the quality all over the pitch, is just that I feel that wee bit more. But probably Armagh would edge it in bench wise, in terms of players coming in. The players you mentioned there, like, they're very much box to box players, bring great energy. Like Campbell, for example, get the ball and run past 2 or 3 people and score a point. Whereas I suppose Donegal, if you look at it again in the Tyrone game, I think they took off 3 players and put the three players back on. You know, so, like, I don't know if that's going to be feasible in this game. But I don't know, but I think Donegal, like in terms of they have the fitness there and they have the resilience built up. So I don't know if it's. I don't think it's a factor if Armagh get ahead and then having to try and catch up before them to get ahead of Armagh before they empty the bench. I think like if they are behind, I think Donegal always have the wherewithal to come back every time. You know, you've seen there in the Tyrone game, Tyrone 3 up, Donegal 3 points in a row to level the game again, and then they like kept the ball for so long in the last couple of minutes before they kicked the point and stuff. So I don't think that's going to be a factor. Like McGuinness will have them prepared for that anyway. You know, he'll have some whatever Armagh's players come on, be it Campbell, he'll have somebody tagged to mark him or do whatever tactics will change when he comes on or whatever it is. He'll have all the players prepared for that. You know, so it won't seem like a shock or seem like a boost to Armagh when they come on. McGuinness will have turned around that this is going to help us. You know, that's the way he'll have it phrased to the boys. You know, so I wouldn't see that as a major factor in terms of Donegal winning or losing the game.
Dead on. Listen, Jimmy, of course, he's helped in there, Barrett, McGee, and of course his bro-in-law, your own man, call him Anthony, and there a lot of preparation to be done. Joe's signaling there. Brian, are you going to sing us out here? You've got a few songs lined
what
up.
What song would you like, Brian?
Do a bit of Noel Fred there from the back of the bus there in the mid noughties, the Green Valleys.
We'll save that for Rosa's here now.
Listen, the wise words, Don. Folks, we're nearly read up here. Brian, you were saying you reckon 3 or 4. That's ambitious, and I love your positivity. Mac, will we have a cushion?
No, I don't. I think it's going to be level about 4 or 5 times throughout the whole day. Like, and then Donegal to nip it by a point just in the end, just when Armagh started to doubt themselves.
Yes, Christy, will we see a goal? Do you think that could happen? It doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of opportunities. We did create a few against Tyrone. We didn't really concede any, you know, or concede any chance.
It'll all depend on the first 5 minutes. You'll see what way the team's set up. If Donegal are pressing really, really aggressively up the field and Armagh.
Do you think that might happen?
Well,
you were chatting to Jim, weren't you?
I just give him send me a text there. No, but it's like
don't mention the press, Christy.
But it's like Jim. Like you have teams there that'll play the same way every week, you know, and might change wee subtle bits here and there. But like you've seen McGuinness in his past, like, for example, the Dublin game, like that, he had very specific tactics for that game. And like, you know, against Derry, obviously there's a specific tactic there with the goalkeeper and stuff. And then in that Tyrone game was changed a wee bit the way he played now for this Armagh game. You know, Jim has the capacity to bring something different, like what he did in the Cork game. Let's say push up really aggressively. But that's where he might have identified the weakness in the Armagh team in some way that we mightn't see. You know, so that it'll all depend on that. So it is possible, but probably maybe given it's a final, might be a bit the teams he might sit back. But I think if they do. If Donegal do that, I think Donegal could get out and stretch a lead a bit in the first few minutes, and then like they can, as we were saying before, they can protect that lead. So depends all on the first 5 minutes, but I would probably head more with Brian's prediction there in terms of probably Donegal by 3 or 4 points.
Man, listen, I'd love to see this under-8s team at St Michael's tactically well set. I must come down to watch a game sometime. Maybe you're up in the Donald Park, folks. Christy Toy, brilliant to chat and see as ever. Don't see enough of you. Same with you, Martin McElhenney. Brian McLaughlin, looking fit as ever, boy. I'll tell you what, David Hasselhoff, we'll go for a run on Marble Hill now. I see if I can keep up.
You sing that Baywatch song there, Brian.
I think we're out of time.
We're out of time, he's out. Joe Dex is waving it aside there. Listen, folks, brilliant to wrap up. Everybody looking forward to Clonus tomorrow where you're making it. If you can't, tune in to Highland Radio. We'll be bringing you full coverage of the game. Hopefully another Ulster title for Donegal. For now, that's all from this panel. We look ahead to Clonus tomorrow.
Saturday Sport coming to you live from the White Atlantic Camp Creasla, celebrating 10 years in business. Family events, soccer tournaments and giveaways not to be missed today at the White Atlantic Camp.
FBD doesn't stand for frightening lad dentists, ferociously beating drums, or feline business directors.
It's 4 o'clock.
FBD
I'm Lindsay Dolan.
stands
Good
for
afternoon.
support.
Security
We support
barriers
business
erected
owners.
along the Grand Canal in Dublin have been described by locals as an eyesore. Metal fencing has been erected, barricading off grass areas along the canal close to Bagot Street Bridge. It comes as barriers were installed along other parts of the canal and Mount Street following the removal of tents belonging to homeless asylum seekers in an effort to prevent more tents being pitched. However, a line of 33 tents where asylum seekers are rough sleeping remain in Dublin 4 along the canal. These people out walking along the canal this afternoon say the barricades have ruined the area for everybody.
It's an eyesore. It shouldn't be there. People should be able to walk along this canal and enjoy. If they want to sit down, should they have the grass all cordoned off so no one can sit on it? So it's just all a joke.
Absolutely, sure. Even all to the seats and all are cordoned off now.
Israel's telling more people in eastern Rafah to leave as it prepares to send in troops to Gaza's southernmost city. 1.4 million people have taken refuge from the fighting in the city, but Israeli forces claim Hamas militants are also dug in. Dr. Mohammed Tahir works at the only remaining hospital east of Rafah.
In the last few days, with the intensifying of the bombing in Rafah, we are getting just mainly blast injuries here. Night, day of the week has all evaporated. I just keep operating. I don't stop for lunch. I don't stop for dinner.
The Taoiseach has paid tribute to former MEP Mary Benotti, who has died at the age of 84. Ms Benotti was the grandniece of Michael Collins and sister of former Fine Gael Deputy Leader and Justice Minister Nora Owen. She served as an MEP for Dublin and was Fine Gael's presidential candidate in 1997 and a former co-founder of Women's Aid and served as chairperson of the Rutland Centre for Drug Abuse. More than 100,000 people in more than 200 locations in Ireland and across the world have walked, sailed, ran and swam for Darkness into Light today. The annual fundraiser for suicide charity Pieta House kicked off at dawn, symbolising the most important sunrise of the year. The charity's CEO Stephanie Manahan was walking with supporters in Dublin's Phoenix Park. She said supporters and volunteers around the county were remembering loved ones and creating a brighter future.
It has been a really, really special walk and a spectacular sunrise. So thank you all for your support. Everybody up and down the land, we really, really appreciate your support and the work that you do for Pieta. We couldn't do the work we do without you, so please continue to support us. We really appreciate your help.
Bambi Thug has apologised to their fans after missing today's Eurovision dress rehearsal. The singer said earlier a situation arose where they were waiting to go on